I don't want to get too emotional here. First of all, Dave Blum has done an incredible job with Ohio Health and his team, Janet and his whole, where's the whole Dave Blum Ohio Health executive team? Please stand, okay? Who's here from the, okay, give them a round of applause. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you what it is. Dave and I met, I've known Dave for 100 years when we were both young. And Dave has been, in fact, I was even involved in helping him because he said, could you help me to become the CEO of this place? And I said, well, of course I would, Dave. I've known you forever. And he's been such a, I mean, frankly, I'm a little shocked by, he's been a visionary. I mean, he figured out how to bring better health care to people in Central Ohio, or Ohio for that matter, while reducing their costs and raising customer satisfaction and promoting what we really want to have in America, outcome-based medicine. Look, healthcare is not going to go away. You know, I don't know if you know, but to the students that are here, you know, I went to a basketball game last week with the president and with the Prime Minister of Great Britain, so I could score a visit to 10 Downing Street for my wife and kids who were going there over the weekend and next weekend. And I talked to them a little bit about Obamacare, to Jack Lew, the President's Chief of Staff. And, you know, the difficulty we have with that is that it imposes so many costs on us that are unrealistic in many ways. But as Jack said to me, and I acknowledge, we got a long way to go on health care in America in terms of keeping costs down, including more people who don't have coverage, and at the same time raising the quality of the medicine we provide, which is exactly what they are doing here at Ohio Health. They are bringing personal responsibility and rewards and incentives to a level and a measurement, which is what we ought to do. You know, we all run around talking about how we need to measure teachers. We need to measure doctors. How are they doing? If I go to see one, am I going to be better? If I have an operation, am I going to be healthier? If I'm in a hospital, do I get an infection or can I walk out and be healthy? That's exactly what they're striving for here. And it's just fantastic. And Dave is going to be part of our medical corridor so we can figure out how we get all the health care operations in Ohio to work together, because we got about as good a health care as you can find anywhere in the world. When you look at the Cleveland Clinic and University Hospital and the work of Case Western and Ohio State and Ohio Health and the Ohio State Academics and the University of Cincinnati and Dayton, and you know, after the weekend, I got to throw Ohio University in there. I mean, we got four schools in the four Ohio schools in the Sweet 16, and you know, I'm not taking credit for that, but I'm just saying. Anyway, we can use Dave's innovation and leadership to help us to get everybody to work together, because if we all work together, we can have more clinical trials and more medical devices, and who knows what the breakthrough can bring. And then on top of that, of course, we're here because David has, for whatever his heart has allowed him to be a forward leader on a program that allows us to really not take advantage, but allows us to be in a position to allow people to carry out their God-given destiny, responsibilities, duties, and potential. I mean, I've got to tell you, folks, that being the governor it's a really interesting job. I'll let you all come do it for a week. But one of the greatest things that you can do in this job is to really give people who are denied an opportunity to be something. You know, these moms and dads, we who have not had those experiences often don't understand what they go through. But you know what else I understand is that their lives have been enriched because of their experiences. John Martin, who is he's a carryover from the last administration. I met with John and did a great meeting, and he talked to me about his son, who's developmentally disabled. I'm convinced, and I said to him before we came out here, the Lord has funny ways of working, doesn't He? We think we know what He's doing, and we could never figure out His ways. So He gives John Martin a beautiful son who's got developmental disabilities. And John was telling me an incredible story I don't think I'll ever forget about trying to feed his son and not understanding what his son wanted, and the struggle that he had, and how at a moment the light came on and he began to understand the better way to communicate with his son. Now, John runs the Department of Developmental Disabilities. So he is a guy who is an advocate from A to Z, and he's doing a fantastic job for us. And he came into my office with a little trepidation, which I didn't understand because I'm all in. And he said, "Look, there is nothing wrong with a sheltered workshop. It's meant for some, but it isn't meant for all. And that we have people with developmental disabilities who we've got to stand up for, who can be placed in a setting where they're going to get even more self-confidence, where they're going to feel better about everything they do." And it's not about the money. Oh, they're going to earn more money, but who cares, right, about the money, Mom? Is that right? I mean, it's about that my son and my daughter can do something that I've been shortchanged. They have been shortchanged in our society. And I'll tell you why it is. It's because you can run over them. They don't have any voice. You got a voice in this administration. I want you to know you have a big voice in this administration. Because the Lord is going to measure not how I do complimenting Dave Blum or all the fancy schmancy people here, the big time. I mean, that's a given. The Lord's going to ask us what we did. For everybody in this room today and everybody that will watch this video, what did we do for those that were the least of those as we defined them in our society? I'm not sure they're the least. I wrote a book, I didn't even think about this, Dave. I wrote a book many years ago called Courage is Contagious, and I met a guy named Albert Lexie. He was a shoe-shine guy. And Albert would, he saw KDKA television. He was watching a telethon one weekend, and Albert never graduated from, the 7th, 8th, 9th grade, something like that. And he had his developmental disabilities. And he went to the hospital. He fell in love during the telethon because he liked the lady, Patty Burns, who was one of the MCs. And so he got on this bus, which was a terrorizing ride for him. He's got to switch buses and all that. And he goes to the hospital. He says, I want to shine shoes here in the hospital because I'm a shoe shine man. And they finally said that he could do it a couple days a week. So I don't know, for the last, I haven't checked the numbers lately. My God, we used to check it all the time. I had him as a hero on my early show on Fox. He would take his couple bucks for shining shoes, and Dave, he would go into the hospital, and when Albert sat with people and shined their shoes and talked to them, they'd just come out of the operating room, and now they're sitting with Albert. And it was the respite that they needed. And Albert would take the tips that they gave, and he demanded big tips. And he's donated now, over $100,000 for mothers and fathers that can't pay the bills of their children in the Children's Hospital in downtown Pittsburgh. Albert's going to wear the biggest crown you've ever seen when we get up there. You know that. Albert's going to be the big cheese, and we'll be shining his shoes. So to everyone who's here, and many of you here have been touched by a different way of life. Let's just describe it as a different way of life, a different experience. I think you probably, I hope at least I'm telling you something that resonates with you, but we've got to spread the word. whether it's the developmentally disabled, or whether it's the mentally ill, or whether it's the dysfunctional, at times poor. We got no right to run over them. In fact, we've got to lift them. Because when we lift them, we're doing exactly what the Lord created us to do. We're not going to get it all right. We've got a long way to go, don't we, Greg? I mean, with our mental health system and the network to keep people from falling through the cracks, we need to do. We're never going to be done with this. But at least we're paying attention and doing what we can do and making it a priority for ourselves. I want to compliment Michael Colbert, who runs Jobs and Family Services. He's got a big heart. I want to compliment Stan Hefner, who's here today, who's really single-handedly working extremely hard to raise the education standards in our state, so that not only the developmentally disabled, but the best and brightest are going to be pushed to the level of what they can achieve. Because if you don't push them, they'll never get there. And if they don't get there, who knows what these folks could do? Who knows what diseases they could conquer? Who knows what words can help us to bring peace in the world? You never know. And so we're going to push our youngsters and support our teachers so we can have the best education system in our country. And he's here today, and I'm so proud to be with him. Kevin Miller, who does a great job at developmental disabled. He works with the developmentally disabled. He's part of this program and this partnership that he put together with Dave. And I have a couple other people. Greg Moody. Greg is just an incredible man. His wife is a preacher. And Greg is running the whole healthcare system on Medicaid, where we're now integrating mental health and physical health and creating medical homes so that healthcare is not so confusing, where we're trying to come with better outcome-based medicine and drive costs down and yet have great customer satisfaction. He's a gift to the people of the state.